Hi everybody, this is Mike. This is a video on my technique on doing mortar work on the brick buildings for model railroads. It's a follow-up to my last video on the city blocks, and we're going to get a little deeper into exactly how I do my mortar. Okay, I've got just a little bit of water in here. I've added just a slight touch of Dawn dishwashing liquid to it. We're going to put some. We've got that mixed up. I've got one wall that's hidden on this, so we're going to do a test on it. You can see we're getting pretty good flow. Okay, stop right there. This is Mike from the future. Well, I guess if you're watching this, I'm Mike from your present. Anyway, I realized when I did the first recording, I missed some very important parts, and I forgot to turn the camera back on. So let's go into this. When you get your wash right, and you dab it down, it should wick into all those bricks. It should flow. Now you're getting drippage here because I've got it on an angle just so it'll focus better. When you put this flat, it'll wick flat out and spread right over the whole model. So your whole thing is just dab around, plenty of material, and let it fill the grooves. That looks real uneven when you start, but trust me, it'll flow in and even out. Only two things you're watching out for: stay away from your edges, because you'll end up with them light, and if it runs over the edge, you'll end up with a real white corner when you do your other surface wall. And the other one is you end up with some drips. This is soap powder, remember, or I mean liquid soap in this material. So you just go along with the brush and dab them out. Okay, I'm going to go back to the original recordings, and I'll show you some of the detail work where you have to keep dabbing out of the windows. Any of these. On that section. Letting that dry. Okay, we're back out in the shop now. It's been about 5 days it took me to get this. You can see this turned out a little lighter than I'd like. I had to go over this with a few coats. You always end up with some imperfections because the depths of the bricks aren't the same. So you're going to have more you wash laying in some of them than others. And while we're doing this, let's talk about the paints a little bit. For this window trim, I used that Folk Art matte. And this works really well. This is an acrylic, comes in the bottle. And it really covers good and it goes on very well. Now for the doors, I use some American Accents. This is nutmeg. The color's a little lighter than it gives on the can, but it goes on really well and covers very well also. One coat on all of this. I had to do a few second coats on these windows just to get a couple spots. I think the enamel covers a little better than the acrylic. Here's one thing I want to warn you about. I use this paste for both the white in the windows and the blue on the trim here. And this stuff is just awful to work with. Now I thinned down the white quite a bit to do the windows. It paints on pretty well, but it doesn't cover anything. It took me 3 coats I had to go back through for these windows. And every time you add a coat, you have more chances of making mistakes. I tried it fresh out of there. It's a paste, an artist color, and you really lose detail. When I thinned it out a little better on this side, it paints on a little better, but then you lose the coverage. I'm going to stay away from this completely. Okay, I did this building at the same time. This is the sports bar, one of the MTH buildings, and this came out pretty good. Now you'll see a couple imperfections here. I had to fill in these holes because I didn't want my signs to go exactly where they are. I tried hand carving some of the brickwork, but it didn't come out perfect. As Tin Cup said, perfection is unattainable. Okay, here's one more I did. I did this a couple weeks ago. This turned out pretty well. Pretty even on the bricks, so the wash goes into them pretty well. This was a building that I actually showed. I bought used off of eBay and tore the whole building apart and repainted it. Okay, one more to show you. Now these two are just a contrast. These two I bought off of eBay used. As you can see, I think they tried the rub-in technique on the mortar. You get, whenever you try this rub-in all around these edges, you'll get a very heavy concentration because you can't rub this out as well. See here, you see it all around the windows. One more to show. Okay, this one's a Corber kit I did maybe 5 years ago. We combined the two kits together here. Now this was done using the actual spackle technique, where you just rub the spackle into the bricks themselves, and then you have to wipe off the excess. I don't like this as much, and you can again see where the Corber models don't have the same depth on the bricks, and you end up with a very inconsistent finish. Once it's weathered, I have this as an old warehouse building, so it'll come out okay. After I got done with the spackle and finished that, I put a matte coat of clear on it just to tighten it all up. Okay, that's about it for today. We're going to wrap this one up. Thank you all for watching. This is Mike. Goodbye.